Picking a Lord can sometimes be a little bit tricky in multiplayer. Which one to go for, which is the best one for the scenario, which one do you enjoy the most? Well, why settle at one? I'm a Rubber Duck War, and I got some pretty cool news for you Vampire Count players. You can bring both Vlad von Carstein and Isabella von Carstein in multiplayer, and it's absolutely fine. There's no mods for this, there's no unit caps have to be turned off. You can just bring both of them because they can come as a legendary Lord or a legendary hero, allowing you to bring both the badasses. Now, is this a very good idea? Probably, and almost certainly not. They're both incredibly expensive, and there's not really a need to have double spellcasters for the vampire counts here, but I'm going to do it anyway because it's badass and awesome. Welcome everyone, I'm going to be showcasing a fight between myself as the vampire counts up against Elkai of the mighty Slaaneshi Hordes. Really awesome Spanish YouTuber. He was also my opponent in my latest game, so let's delve into this. We have a load of zombies in the front line because let's face it, at the end of the day, is it really a vampire count build without a few of the lumbering host marching in tow? Their main job pretty much solely is to absorb the charge bonus of the enemy units, and I thought up against Slaanesh this is going to be pretty key as they tend to have quite a fast hit and run style of approach. Secondary battle line is Graveguard galore. We have Graveguard dotted all the way along, including the Regiment of Renown. Now, the reason I've gone for Graveguard, you may think elite infantry is not really needed versus Slaanesh. Well, all of these bad boys do magic attacks now, which is pretty cool indeed, and going to be very, very useful up against the hordes of demons coming our way with their physical resistance. Just behind them, we have a line of the Black Knights, 2 basic variety, as well as the Regiment of Renowned Verix Reavers with their magical lances. And once again, all of these guys now do magical attacks, making me think, hey, maybe they're actually going to be worth picking here over the more elite and powerful Blood Knights. We'll have to see if that does indeed pay off. We also have the Dire Pack in the back coming in once again with their bonus or anti versus large, which is going to be quite tasty indeed, as Slaanesh do like to bring chariots and other large legendary lords. Our main battle line is a White King, Vlad von Carstein and Isabella, and you can notice we're going for a cheeky snipe play. We do have our usual heals and summons, but both of our Lord and Hero have Gaze of Nagash looking to snipe out Chariot Lords. But as I look across the battlefield, there is indeed no Chariot Lord at all. It is in fact an Exalted Keeper. So we have a load of Marauders through the front, just a mixture of the whips, spears and swords, with a couple of units of the Seeker Chariots, only just one unit of Seeker Chariots, and some Demonettes in the back. We have Furies up in the skies, more Exalted Demonettes in the central pocket, Fiends of Slaanesh, a load of cavalry which is vibing right now, Hellstriders swanning between the trees and trying to go for a bit of a flank overload, reposition themselves to this left hand side, and then we have the Exalted Keeper of Shadows looking just fabulous as always, a crazy beast with many names and many unknown terrors, coming in with Pit of Shades as well as Enfeebling Foe and Melkoff's Mystifying Miasma. You can see our first little snipe attempt is going to go down. We have a Gaze and Nagash being popped by Vladdy Daddy, and it's going to pretty much miss. So he catches the Exalted Keeper a little bit, but isn't going to hit him too hard here. Exalted Keeper, or Seeker Chats I should say, are being pushed off by the Black Knights. Lovely counter pressure comes in from my opponent, and there's a little bit of back and forth here. We're both kind of feigning attacks. I'm trying to ensnare the Chariots, but I don't want to get involved with too many of these cavalry fights in one go. We have the Die Pack also swoop forward, only to very quickly turn around and try to push forward again with the Knights, ensuring that I get the charge, not my opponent. But it is simply this dance of death as we both go back and forth, with not too much actually kicking off or going down. My opponent tries coming in with a cheeky Pit of Shades. He's going to catch a few of the dogs, but honestly, I'm really happy with this cast here. It's going to do basically no damage to me, and it is a relatively expensive spell to cast. I have slowed my advance for now, just to allow the Pit of Shades to peter out into a pitiful existence, and now we can advance with the remainder of our force and get going once more. It looks like the Hellstriders tried to jump on top of the Die Pack. A few of them were stuck, of course, by the Vortex. So I'm able to fall back here, and now the zombies are going to be pushing forwards alongside the Black Knights as the slow and ponderous vampire counts lumber forward to the fast and agile Slaanesh forces. It really is a battle of two different playstyles here. Quite excited to see how it goes down. The Black Knights are going to be counter-punching at the Seeker Chariots, who are currently just driving through zombies. Look at zombies galore. That's what the zombies are here for. They've been reanimated to die. And the Seeker Chariots now get surrounded by the Die Pack. We have our Lords in here. I'm quite happy. No, my opponent currently doesn't have a Pit of Shades available. It's still going to be on cooldown, and the fight is well and truly underway. Hellstriders come clattering into a rear charge on the Graveguard, which is quite nice. Looks like we ourselves are trying to pop a zombie summon to pin the enemy cavalry in place. We are a little bit slow getting out of the ground here, though, and I think our opponents may be able to escape, though a few of the models are getting stuck in, and that's allowing the Graveguard to lift those swords high and then bring them down in arcs of death. Doing some okay damage, but honestly, nothing too crazy. You can see the Hellstriders have suffered a tiny bit. Zombies spew forth from the trees, kind of the forest vomiting up undead and unholy illness here as we do move forward. It looks like the Black Knights are going to be trying to guard a section of the army each, with Cycle charging into the front. Our flanks are currently secured by the hill on the right and the trees on the left-hand side. I'm going to be pulling back the zombies here. I'm a little scared of those demonettes grinding them down too quickly, so I'm going to be pulling back on this side, allowing the Black Knights and buying them time to do these rear cycle charges into the front. And you see Marauders getting slammed all along the battle line. Black Knights are loving life right now. Verix Reaver's doing some lovely damage, and on the far side the zombies are getting down and dirty. They are simply being summoned here, so I'm not expecting too much greatness for them. They are going to be pushing in nice and aggressively. Graveguard continue to move forward to engage with the enemy. It looks like we're going to get a really nasty Pit of Shades once again go down, catching. The majority though will be zombies, but the Graveguard are also suffering greatly. Kind of hard to dodge these spells with the less agile, I suppose, Vampire Count army compared to Slaanesh. Looks like cavalry has pulled back by now. One unit has jumped on top of the Seekers. The Demonettes have been a big pain in my butt, and they're really chewing through my forces relatively quickly. Sternsmen are fighting strong in the middle, just beating swords against shields and bellowing a challenge. The Marauders are not enjoying this too much, getting decapitated, limbs are being lopped off, and everything's going relatively well, apart from the central pocket. The Die Pack, as well as some of the Black Knights, do get stuck down, and a mixture of Hellstriders, Exalted Demonettes, and Fiends are able to overwhelm that central battle line. But elsewhere, things are going pretty good. We do have Isabella as well as Vlad and their loyal bodyguard doing a pretty nice job hunting down at the enemy general. A big gaze and a gash straight to the dome is going to drag the Exalted Keeper down to about half HP. He was unable as well to do much damage to me whatsoever due to the Master of Beguilement being popped on him, a lovely Hex, which we actually have two of here. The Devoted are getting dragged down by Graveguard. There's a slow fight there. Graveguard also get hit by Fascination on this flank, attempting to beat back the Demonettes of Slaanesh. And in the middle, the Sternsmen are not having a good time whatsoever. They're currently being charmed, which they're not enjoying at all. They also have the Musk on them, making their stats pretty damn pitiful. And a lovely Pit of Shades is just whipping them into the death. Look at that. The more troops are getting launched into the destruction by the Chariots. Beautiful play there by the Slaanesh player. And things are going pretty badly. Likewise, in the back line, we got ensnared and trapped. The Black Knights simply too slow to escape the pressure of the Hellstriders. We popped forward, one unit got surrounded, so I jumped in with the other one to break the enemy, but the cavalry so snappy, my opponent's micro really good. Our knights do get dragged down in the trap in the back, and this is a really bad situation for us as it loses our counterpunch to the opponent's mobility, which isn't good whatsoever. This unit of Black Knights was able to survive. Honestly, I know they're dead at this point, so I'm just using them to try to distract the Exalted Keeper and keep him out of the action for as long as possible. Despite the fact we've lost our cavalry contingent, things aren't going all bad. In fact, Balanced Power likes us quite a bit. The Seeker Chariots again beat up. Looks like the Demonettes are finally going to be biting the bullet. Graveguard with their magical attacks I expected to do a little bit better, but the pure raw damage output of the Demonettes is really quite scary indeed, and the Graveguard aren't enjoying it at all. Lovely mobility being used here as well. Fiends of Slaanesh and Seeker Chariots surrounding the Graveguard, looking to drag them down. The Spears are moving over to engage the mixture of zombies and Graveguard we have in the center. Lovely little cast as well coming in by the White King, doing some pretty good work on those Marauders. There is still one isolated unit of Graveguard on the far side, but are trying their best to take down these Marauders who have been fighting for an absolute age due to fantastic defensive stats. It actually takes the Graveguard far, far longer than you'd expect to drag down a unit like this, and that has allowed them to be surrounded. But they don't mind that too much to the Graveguard. It's what they do. There is a load of cavalry, though. This fast mobile core of my opponent seems to be floating around, looking to either get a rear attack on my infantry here or move over to the right-hand side. And this is a lovely 2-for-1. We have the Pit of Shades come in. The cavalry just yeets into the action. I did pop an Invocation of Heck to try to offset some of this, but going through the fire and the flames is those Seeker Chariots who have caused me nothing but problems today. and my infantry is really getting torn apart. There is not much left standing whatsoever, but we still have Vlad, Isabella, and the White King, and though it looks like my army is decimated, this is a large portion of my value in just these 3 units, so we're definitely not out of the fight yet, though my opponent making good of his mobility, jumping the Grave Guard. I love to see Fiends of Slaanesh actually doing well. They're one of the coolest looking units in the game. They whip their tails around in arcs of just blood and carnage, and they just look cool in general. Really fun animations. Their top knots are a little bit funny though, I must say. Looks like Exalted Keeper did get a Master Garment once again that popped on them, and they've decided to fall back here a little bit, and I just have my 3 characters fighting, so take note, it is the 8-minute mark now, and I'm 100% going to pop this on to fast forward. Let me know who you think is going to win this battle in the comment section, and then come back and watch the rest of the video. I'm interested to see your thoughts. So Isabella, Vlad von Carstein, both full health. White King being isolated by the Exalted Keeper of Secrets, who hits like an absolute truck. Who is indeed going to win? Let's find out. So this fight goes on for absolutely ages. Like, they've been stuck in combat since about the 8.5-minute mark, and it just goes on and on and on and on and on and on, and it just keeps going. I am summoning zombies now and again as well. There's not much point going to be popping HP here. Isabella can heal up the single entities here and basically hit them at their healing cap. So at this point, I'm just summoning zombie after zombie to try to grind down their enemy. Now, this is kind of actually honestly the way to play against Slaanesh. You form a box and just outgrind them, but honestly, it's quite boring. I've seen it 5 billion times, so we went for a different tactic here of going for the Black Knights and trying to cycle charge our enemy, but losing them, we have been forced to kind of form a death blob at the end here. We don't have many options. My opponent's doing a bucket ton of cycle charging, trying to isolate my units, and there's basically nothing I can do about this. Every time he comes in, I try to attack him to fend him away. I try to keep my lords and heroes as close as physically possible, and every time the enemy general does pop in, we're popping debuffs down upon him. It looks like the enemy infantry is routing. Balance power is massively in our favor, but we are about to lose the White King here, and yeah, the stagger animations is a big problem. There is so many enemies in here. We'll do a little kind of zoom through here, that it takes quite a few seconds every time. Vlad gets one hit in there, and now he's going to just kind of stand around for a while, getting staggered back and forth, and not really do too much apart from take damage, and then he goes for another hit. And this is a big problem for me. Staggering so much is meaning I'm not actually doing anywhere near as much damage as you probably think, but we are still grinding the enemy down. So we're now up to the 16th minute, continuing to fight. Nearly half the battle has been done just in these single entities, and finally Isabella falls, leaving just Vlad von Carstein left. For the first time in a long time, the balance power goes against us, and the scrap continues, but I basically have no hope at this point, and it is going to be a Pyrrhic victory for my opponent. The ground littered with the dead, reanimated, and then dead again troops, as well as many marauders and demons being banished back to the warp. Well played to my opponent, Elka. Really awesome time playing games with him. He's such a lovely guy. Really highly recommend checking out his channel. He's a Spanish YouTuber, I believe. So make sure to, you know, if you are going over there, the whole thing is in Spanish. There's a great place to learn Spanish, or likewise, if you are, you know, a native speaker there, you'll have a good time. He does a load of different game content in general, but also has a large amount of Total War Warhammer action, so I highly recommend going and checking him out. It was a really good fun game. The dream team of Vlad von Carstein and Isabella von Carstein, the most unlikely love story. Well, I don't know if this is kind of like medieval age. It's warrenly accurate, maybe. Love story between these two. 1.9k gold value on Vlad von Carstein, 1.5k on Isabella. Not the greatest. Honestly, the White King kind of outshone them with the 1.8k and being significantly cheaper. Cavalry didn't do great, and honestly, I was really heavily disappointed with the Grave Guard. I thought with their magical attacks, they're going to perform phenomenally here, but their low damage output, they just kind of ended up just fighting marauders for 50,000 years, and the mobility of my opponent really kind of punished us. Likewise, the Black Knights did okay, but lacking that punch of Blood Knights, even with the magical attacks, I don't think they're worth it. They'll still lose to the Hellstriders. Beautiful play with the Exalted Keeper by my opponent. 3.3k value, 154 kills, 1.8k on the Fiends, 1.9k on the Exiled Demonettes, nearly 1,000 on the Chariots. Elsewhere, other units did suffer, though the Hellstriders did pretty damn good. Infantry, of course, getting high kills, but you'd expect that up against the zombies. hope you guys enjoyed this one. It was a good fun one to cast. If you did, if you liked the video, feel free to leave a like and comment down below what you thought, as well as subscribing to the channel. I'm dropping Immortal Empires content every single day, and yeah, it'd be awesome to have you guys along for the ride. I think we've hit 11k subscribers now, which is kind of bonkers, and I really appreciate the support. There's also a load of links down below: Twitch, Patreon, and Discord. Discord is where you can get involved in events and just chill out with a load of cool people, submit replays to the channel, though currently I am obviously doing Immortal Empires early access content. And Patreon is where you can support the channel financially, or you can do that by becoming a YouTube member. There's a load of buttons down below. But anyway, hope you guys enjoyed. Until next time, peace. And as always, stay awesome.